So I'm here with David Curry, CEO of Open Door and new commissioner of USCIRF, which is United States Commission International Religious Freedom. I just want to say congratulations. That's a big deal to be doing two of those things, two of the biggest organizations out there.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah. So how does that feel being you're CEO of Open Door? Now you have to worry about a whole commission. Being new commissioner, how much stress is that on you, and what do you plan to do with that?
Well, really, the two are very complementary.
With
Open
each other.
Doors is about helping, standing for religious freedom. Certainly, our specialty is advocating for helping, assisting persecuted Christians in various places around the world. That could be Afghanistan, it could be North Korea, elsewhere. So that has already given me a broad understanding of what's happening around the world. Now, the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, you're really trying to give advice to
like politicians and government officials,
policymakers.
Okay.
And so I anticipate that'll be very complimentary and
exactly
be interesting.
Are you excited?
I am excited.
Okay, so I guess my first question would be, what is your reasoning for joining this fight for religious freedom? Like, was it like a personal experience? Like, what made you realize, like, this is something I want to do? This is something I'm super passionate about?
Yeah, I think everybody's different. For me, from even when I was a young man, I just knew, like, injustice bothered me.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
It bothered me when I would see kids who were taken advantage of or older people. So I always had that inside of me. And then when I began to understand that some people around the world were being persecuted or afflicted because they had a religious belief or because they decided they didn't want to practice a particular faith, that troubles me, and it really animates me and gets me going.
Okay, so following up with that, what would you say would be like your biggest motivation to pursue what you're doing? Like, what motivates you to do what you do?
For me, if I had to say it in a sense, I would say I want to relieve suffering.
And that's a great way to say it. I totally understand that. And then, can you describe some of the religious persecutions you've witnessed in like other countries or even yourself? Like, what is one of the crazier experiences you've had?
Well, one experience I had was going along the Somali border where these extremists, Al-Shabaab was the name of it, but it's very much like ISIS or some of these other groups that have extremist views. And they had attacked and killed 142 Christians in a university in Garissa, Kenya, which is right on the Somali border. And seeing the hurt in that community, the pain.
I couldn't even imagine.
Living under that all the time.
Exactly. It's very stressful.
So that summarizes part of what we see every day, which is extremist groups of all kinds, not just Islamic, but Hindu or whatever, who are attacking religious minorities. And then governments, North Korea, China, others, who are using their power, the police, the boundaries, the food access, to punish religious minorities. That's troublesome.
It is very troublesome. So I guess following up that, with your leadership and guidance, where do you see Open Doors in the next 5 years? What are some of the projects Open Doors has upcoming, and what are you most excited for?
What Open Doors really is hoping to do is to make sure that the church can remain and survive at the first step in places like Afghanistan. Beyond that, hopefully we can strengthen it to the point where it can thrive over time.
Exactly.
Where we want to be in 5 years. Essentially, we know we have a tough task. There's all of these forces that are driving persecution forward. We just want to be faithful and make sure that we're supporting the persecuted church however we can. So far as my time on the U.S. Commission for International Religious Freedom.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah,
what do you hope to accomplish with that?
I think you need to have a voice of integrity. By integrity, I mean that it's consistent, that it's fair,
that's honest too.
Everybody else, and so just want to be that voice with other commissioners.
That's very inspiring. That's very inspiring.
Thanks, man.
And so, I guess, what would you say to other Christians, or especially the youth like myself? Like, what is something we can do to help spread the awareness of like religious freedom and religious persecutions? What's happening around the world? Because, for example, none of that's in mainstream media. Not many people my age or even older people would know what's happening around the world. No one ever realizes what is actually happening around the world.
Well, I think telling stories about what's happening, doing what you're doing now, reciting, repeating the news so that people are aware of it.
Exactly.
And so that we're also raising a consciousness or an understanding that people should have the right to believe what they like.
Exactly.
As long as they're not infringing on somebody else. And in almost every case, these are just people that want to peacefully practice their faith.
Exactly.
and that's that. I think that young people understand that, but I'm not sure they know everything that's going on.
Exactly.
So just keep telling the stories.
Keep telling the stories. Okay, so I guess to follow that up, why is it so difficult for mainstream media to talk about it?
Well, I think sex and violence does sell, but they have their own
Narratives,
agenda, you know. But I think part of the challenge we have to admit to is that there's a lot of bad news out there, and people get fatigued about it.
Exactly.
And they move from Afghanistan to Ukraine, all of these things which are in the news. It's just like it's an impressive thing. What I would like to encourage people to do is find something you really care about and go deep.
Yeah, strive for it. Shoot for the stars.
And get involved. Don't just go from one subject to the next all the time.
Exactly. So speaking of religious persecutions, I'm personally Vietnamese, so I was going to ask, are you aware of the religious persecutions against Christians in Vietnam right now?
I know that the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom is planning a trip to Vietnam. Certainly Open Doors is aware of that. And, you know, we're speaking out on it. Vietnam is ranked on our world watch list off the top of my head. I don't remember where it's listed.
But it's up there. It's
in there.
Yeah.
And it's a significant issue. Things, you know, seem to be getting better in certain parts of Vietnam and worse in other parts.
And worse in other parts.
Yeah. So we're concerned about it.
Okay. So then I guess to follow that up, like how would you say, how could someone, not from even my standpoint, how can someone like me have hope that something will change? But not just that, how do people that actually are going through religious persecutions every day, how do they have hope that something will change?
Well, I think the people that we talk to, people of faith, their faith is sustaining them. I think it's a hard road. What I would say to people who wonder, like, well, where is the hope? What is the future? What we can be sure of is that when you take control of what you can control, when you say what you need to say, when you are a voice for an advocate for peace and for equality and these sorts of things, it's satisfying. And I think that's where you can take your hope. It's like, I'm gonna be part of the solution. Politicians,
regardless of what it takes, like
they're gonna do what they're gonna do. But you know, if there's enough people speaking out and doing things, it will change.
Okay. And then speaking on that, I guess to end it, I'm just thinking how I want to word this. How would someone like me be able to inspire others about, or like, how can I spread religious persecution and what's happening in other countries, but I kind of inspire the people around me to kind of follow where the path of that.
What I think inspires people is consistency in saying and doing the right thing on behalf of others. But more importantly, in this world, when everybody is tearing people apart, if you're building people up, when other people are trying to marginalize people, if you're trying to include people, that takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, it takes a lot of guts to do that.
If you're doing that, you'll feel the pressure, but you'll be a person of hope to many, many people. And I encourage you to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're encouraging me just talking to me right here.
Thanks.
So I guess my last question would be, if I wanted to, or if people around the world wanted to help Open Doors achieve the dreams and the goals they have to all these countries that they're trying to save religious persecution from, how can I help Open Doors?
Well, I encourage people to go to opendoorsusa.org. There's stories there. The thing is, always fall in love with an idea about how you can make a difference. So watch the stories, see how lives are being changed, and if something stirs your heart, dive in. Go
for it.
That's what I think. Because I don't want to talk people into doing anything. I want them to be stirred about something, whether it's this, or it's helping Rohingyas, or whether it's helping Uyghur Muslims, whatever it would be. They need to have it. It needs to be in here.
Exactly. It has to be inside of you.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day to do this interview with me. And I wish you the best of luck with Open Doors and being the new commissioner. I'm sure you'll do amazing. But if there's anything BPSOS can do to help Open Doors achieve those dreams and help religious persecution in Vietnam, don't be afraid to ask.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. That was awesome. Thank you so much.